Salam and peace. This is Imam Malik Mujahid, and you're watching Muslim Network TV on Galaxy 19 satellite, as well as on MuslimNetwork.tv, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and on our own social media. Thank you so much for tuning in. This is where we talk Muslims and their neighbor, and good conversation takes place. So just mark it up for yourself and look forward to this. Is 24/7, 8 hour of fresh programming, which is repeated 3 times in 24-hour cycles. So you will not miss anything. If you miss anything, you can go on MuslimNetwork.tv and you'll be able to find. Muslims always are looking for unity. They pray for, after every Friday prayer or other prayers, they look for Muslim to be united. They feel they're quite divided and they're unable to serve their neighborhoods and their city and their country properly. So unity is a big thing. And most people pray, but some people pray even more. I mean, some of the ideal period with the Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, was the caliphs and the guided caliphs, and they pray for that era, which was peace, justice, will prevail. They have longing of that era. And when they see Muslim world struggling for freedom, peace, justice, and Islam, like Syria and Palestine and Kashmir, they pray for those people as well. But they say, if only Muslims were united, we could have done it. And some Muslims actually have an organization looking for the return of the Khilafah. On the other side, you have a whole lot of Muslims doing nothing but waiting for Jesus. Yes, Muslims are waiting for Jesus, and just like Christians are waiting for Jesus. But evangelical Christian think Jesus will come, will force everybody to become Christians, including Jews, and Christian Zionism comes to play a role in there. Muslims are looking for something that Jesus, peace be upon him, who we believe is the prophet of God, just like Muhammad, will come back. That's where we agree. And then he will invite people to connect towards God Almighty, bringing the original faith revealed by God Almighty. So that's what he will be doing, and everybody, world, there will be peace before, I don't know. So these are the bigger visions, but there are some people who are pragmatic. They think, okay, that will happen when that will happen. But don't sit idle, do something about it. And in different cities in North America, Muslims following the American models of federations and confederations and coordinating bodies have developed their entities. So in Southern California, there is a group called Islamic Shura Council of Southern California. Shura is an Islamic term. God Almighty has told Muslims to believe in God, follow Prophet Muhammad, peace be upon him, and run your affairs in consultation with each other. So that is the format Muslims want to run their affairs. So they have developed a Shura Council, or a consultative body of Muslims in Southern California. It has been there for 25 years. More than 60 people have been, 60 organizations are a part of it. Essentially, it speaks for Muslims, even those who are not necessarily due-paying members, essentially follow their guidelines. And today we have someone who has dedicated good part of his life to bring Muslims together in Southern California, and he is Dr. Ahmed Soboh. Welcome to Muslim Network TV. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam. It's my pleasure to be with you this morning.
Thank you so much. He's the founder and religious director of Chino Valley Islamic Center in Southern California. Dr. Soboh, until recently, also chaired the Islamic Shura Council of Southern California. Tell me what this Southern California thing is. What is Southern California? You're a separate country or something?
I hope we're not, but we like to believe that we're unique. We like to believe that we are have a special place as Southern Californians in general, where For those who don't know, that includes Los Angeles, San Diego, and a small county called Orange County, yet very powerful and very effective small geographical area in California. Southern California is known for its beautiful weather. It's known for earthquakes. It's known for Hollywood. It's known for its beaches. It's known for being able to swim in the beach in the morning and go snow on the ski on the snow in the evening. It's known for the traffic jams. It's known for the condensed population, and of course, it's known for its horrible smog status in the air because of the congestion, because of the millions of cars that are on the freeways every morning. Muslims in Southern California, go ahead.
Well, you didn't mention any oranges and rest of the fruits which you have all year. I mean, in my garden, I mean, my gardening season is just 4 months, sometimes 3 months, and you get garden year long. So you haven't mentioned among all those things. It seems so you mentioned the beaches and the surfing.
The beautiful weather in Southern California it's maybe one of the biggest trademarks of the area because of the we don't know what's winter anymore. We don't know how does it feel. Like when we travel to Chicago or Canada or New York in the winter, we get a shock from the amount of clothes that people have to put on to stay warm when they're outside. You'll be in the middle of January in Southern California and you can still wear a t-shirt and go out for a walk every day. And also the summer is not very hot. Right now we're in August, almost August, and the weather is still pleasant and beautiful. You still have that breeze.
Yeah,
so
Chicago continue to lose population and California continue to gain people. I think it's the weather or something. How many Muslims are there?
Muslims in Southern California are considered one of the largest Muslim populations or concentrations in America. And definitely it's the largest on the West Coast. I think it's the second or third largest in America. There are estimates between 500 and 700,000 Muslims who live in Southern California. But Southern California is not like other cities. It's not condensed. It's spread apart. I mean, Southern California, if you drive from one edge to another, that will take you maybe 5 hours to drive that distance. And people live really apart from each other. It's very normal to drive for a small, quick bite, 3 or 5 miles in the car just to get something and come back home. That's very common. That's very normal. The bus transportation is not very fast and quick because of that distance. So any trip in a bus can easily take 2 to 3 hours. That's from one side to another in the town. Muslims in Southern California been coming here for decades and established some cultural centers and some ethnic cities that people have the restaurants and the food and the clothing stores. Like one of the most famous cities is Anaheim. Anaheim is known among the locals as Little Arabia, where you can actually walk in the streets and see a huge population, a very obvious concentrated population of the Middle Eastern immigrants and now their children, just similar to Dearborn in Detroit. So this is one of the things that's been going on for the past several decades. But what's also unique about the Muslims in Southern California, it's much more difficult for them to travel regularly to their countries of origin, like the Middle East or the subcontinent. A trip from New York to Cairo, for example, will be maybe less than 10, 11 hours. While if you want to do that from Los Angeles, that will be 20 to 25 hours. So there was less connection with the Middle East, less connection with the subcontinent because of the distance and because of the time zone. When someone in New Jersey is calling someone in Jordan, that's almost the same day. But if someone is doing it from Los Angeles, you're talking about then the following day. This caused the Muslims in Southern California to come to realize before many other areas that they are American Muslims. This is their land. This is their home. This is where they're going to be buried after they die. This is where they're going to build their future presence. So the fact that people in many parts of America, they still feel that they are a guest, and they're guests, and they're visiting temporarily, and eventually they're going to go back. That ideology or that thought, it's completely disappearing in Southern California or the West Coast in general. And
so
people came.
500,000 Muslims who you feel, as compared to Muslims in other cities, feel more at home, more focused. So how many masjids, mosques, and other organizations Muslims have in that area? What type of institutions have you developed?
So the infrastructure of the community always starts with a masjid. Starts with a masjid that may be in a garage or in a storefront facility, and evolves little by little. We have around 125 masjid in Southern California. We have a little bit over 40 Islamic organization. And they come on different sizes. Some of them are well established with a huge campus, and some of them are still in their baby stages, and they're still in the small first steps in them growing and building their community. What's also important for us to understand, that if you want to compare us to other faith groups, we are still the new kid on the block. We're still, in America in general. In Southern California, the oldest masjid in Southern California, I would not say more than 50, 60 years. That's the oldest. While when I go visit, for example, synagogues, the newest synagogue in Southern California is 80 to 100 years. So we're talking about, we are the latecomers. We came late compared to other faith groups. But the speed that we were able to build our community here in Southern California is amazing. How we were able to establish our for example, civil rights organizations. CARE Los Angeles chapter is one of the most powerful chapters of CARE throughout the United States. MPAC, Muslim Public Affairs Council, its main home started in Southern California, and their main office is here, even though they have another office in DC. The Islamic Relief and other organizations, for some reason, they do flourish in Southern California with even with the real estate being too expensive and the rent is so high. They still manage to flourish and create amazing story of success for their organizations.
So one of the things, of course, you're talking about immigrant Muslims. There were Muslims, of African American Muslims before that, and there were probably other people historically who have been there. But the oldest mosque, which currently survives, is a 50-year-old. In Illinois also, although I have photo of a mosque which was built in 1893 and got destroyed by fire. I have a beautiful photo of that. But the mosque which was incorporated, there is one developed by Bosnian Muslims about 100 years ago, maybe 110 years ago. So, but that's not a mosque, that's a incorporated entity which has kept its incorporation. The mosque was built, I think, just 30, 40 years ago, but incorporation is pretty old incorporation. So in Southern California, when you have 125 mosques and 40 other organizations, some of them have done very pioneering work. How come then the membership of Islamic Shura Council is limited to just 60, or it includes everyone, rest cannot afford to pay you?
So I think it's about official members and associate members. I think it reached about 80, 85 members last time when I was in office. Some of the most, if not all, the major organizations are these members. The others might be smaller masajid, musallas, that maybe consider the fee is too high, or we still, as a Shura Council, failed to deliver to them the value of being a member in the Shura Council, to the value of being part of this group. Now, the fact that they're not official members doesn't mean they do not come and attend the meetings. They do not listen to our announcement. They do not use the Shura Council's announcement for Eid and Ramadan. So that just the official numbers. Just like when you go to any masjid and you count how many actual members are there, these are not the numbers of people who attend Jum'ah prayer. You go to any masjid, right? The official members who can vote for the elections of the masjid might be 100 to 200 people, but you go to Jum'ah prayer, you see 1,000 people are there. So these are not necessarily the true reflection of who's within under the umbrella of this uniting organization. Also, some organizations do not qualify to be a member. They have to have certain set of bylaws. They have to have certain set of a certain structure of how the board is operating, articles of incorporation. Some of them, they don't have that. And this is one of the way we encourage these organizations to put their structures in a much more, in a better way, so they can become members of the Shura Council.
Well, thank you so much. This is Imam Malik Mujahid, and I'm talking with Dr. Ahmed Soboh about Muslim unity in Southern California. And you're watching Muslim Network TV on Galaxy 19 satellite, Amazon, Fire TV, Roku, and other social media. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Muslim Network TV. This is Imam Malik Mujahid, and I'm talking with Dr. Ahmed Soboh, who is from Southern California and one of the leaders of Islamic Shura Council of Southern California. Share this with me. I was looking at your board of directors, and I'm, and I find people who are elected, they're members of some charity. Not all of them are leaders of mosque. One of the phenomena I have seen in Chicago, where we have Council of Islamic Organizations of Greater Chicago, or in other cities, that bigger entities who have more services and the larger mosques, they're too busy taking care of their things. And these are smaller entities, especially those who have full-time staff. They take more interest in participating and working and get elected to the board. And it gives a little bit of pain to larger entities or larger mosques. So what is the situation in Southern California Islamic Shura Council?
I don't see that as an issue. Actually, I served on the board of the Shura Council several terms. And over 10 years, I've seen leaders of major mosques on the board. I've seen leaders of smaller mosques. It's amazing that these are not appointed positions. These are elected by the general body. And we should have faith in our general community when they are choosing who represents them on these organizations, on these boards. So for the past several years, when I was observing how election process goes, I noticed that the general understanding that diversity is needed, whether it's ethnic diversity, whether it's gender diversity, whether it is the size of the organization diversity, whether it is a masjid versus an organization, a charitable organization or an Islamic organization diversity. So it's been always a diverse group of people. We for a very long time, we had both Sunnis and Shias and on the board of the Shura Council, females and males, African Americans, immigrants, American born. What's recently been happening a lot is that you'll see in the Shura Council board and the other Masajid board, you will see more American-born Muslims are serving and leading the Masajid in Southern California. And this is a good phenomena, not to ignore the importance and the contribution of the immigrant community like myself and yourself, but the fact that American-born Muslims are actually excited to serve on boards, are actually happy to be part of this process of the building and developing the community, had added a beautiful contribution to the growth and the journey of the Muslim community in Southern California and America at large. So you'll find at the current, for example, board of the Shura Council, I would say maybe at least half are American-born Muslims and the other half are immigrants. So this conflict...
Point, what is the exceptional value in being born in America or not being born in America? Why you're emphasizing this particular point?
Because for a long term, the immigrant community was taking care of everything. And that not necessarily relates to everyone in the community. I personally applaud the immigrant community who sacrificed everything they could to build the infrastructure of the Masajid. The immigrant community are willing to take food off the table of their families just so they can donate to the masjid. That is something amazing about the immigrant community. The sacrifices that they've done over the past 30, 40 years to build a place for their children is definitely something plausible and something we should all honor and respect. But when we do not understand the challenges of our kids who are going through the school system or going through college system, who are not necessarily related, who'd rather eat a hamburger over a plate of biryani, who'd rather feel they're part of the American culture, not the Egyptian or the Palestinian or the Pakistani culture. That absence of these people in representing in representing that segment in the boards and the leadership of the Masajid and the organization created a repulsive force for those young people not to come to the masjid. I don't know if you watched a movie called Unmasked. It was made a few years ago about American Muslims who do not want to go to the mosque, who don't want to be part of the Islamic work. So one of the reasons is that those who were in charge, they were not speaking their language, they were not understanding their culture, and they were always against every new contribution they tried to bring to the table. So when you have a good balance between native Muslims, like African American Muslims, second generation or third generation Muslims, and immigrant Muslims sitting all on the table, that brings a lot of beautiful diversity that will make the organization more relevant and better serving its own population, its own constituents, because now
I agree with you. I wrote once an article which became very hit and popular, that the board should have 1/3 founders, 1/3 women, and 1/3 second generation or other Muslims, and it was very hit and popular. I'd like that positively, but I also see a sort of a trend which is started by Muslim comedians, that they will be laughing at the accent of immigrants and foreigners and people who are donating to the same gathering are the same people who they're laughing at.
And this is what we don't want to have.
That phenomena is sort of something which is very different than what is happening on our street. Our streets are asking for acceptance of diversity, except whether it's the Latino rights movement and undocumented workers movement or Black Lives Matter movement. So we want America to be acceptance of diversity, cultures, accents, and languages. But Muslim community, I see suddenly overemphasis, which looks like that when it comes to internally, instead of a balanced perspective which you are presenting, there is sort of a resentment towards people who might have accent or who were born yesterday or landed yesterday.
The same way we don't want to have a conflict between men and women in the community, the same way we don't want to have a conflict between rich and poor, The same way we don't want to have a conflict between converts and born Muslims. We don't want to have a conflict between immigrants and second and third generations. And these comedians, I really speak out loudly in criticizing them. They're making fun of accents, they're making fun of, but that's how comedy works. Comedy makes fun of its own selves. African American comedian make fun of their own selves. Hispanic comedian make fun of their own selves. That's part of kind of being rebellious against the authority, because the immigrant people were seen as the authority in the masajid. And that's kind of how they push the envelope and cross the boundaries. But the actual people who are in the streets, the actual youth that I deal with, the young professionals, the graduates, the fresh graduates who are American born, they have so much respect to the immigrant community who built their masajid. Don't be deceived by what you see on Comedy Central or on these comedy shows. These people, unfortunately, they are given a bad image about the millennials. I love working with millennials. I love working with American-born Muslims because they have so much love and desire to serve the community. And you have to give them that they have a better way of applying the systems. Immigrant community like to cut corners. There's no doubt about that. Immigrant community, sometimes they don't understand how the American system works. Not everybody. But I like this combination. Before I migrated to the United States, someone was telling me, do not go to America. It's a bad place to go live in. And he gave me a book that was written by a Saudi scholar called Jalsa Ma'a Mughtarib, a sitting with an immigrant in America. And the book shows how horrible the life of an immigrant Muslims in America, how his daughter has her boyfriend in the house, how his son has tattoos and he's on drugs, how his wife disrespects him. And he made a very gloomy picture for me. I said, oh my goodness, where am I going? But when I came here and I became involved in the masajid, I saw the other side of the coin. I saw the other side of the picture. Those American-born youth who have the love of their faith and they have the values of their faith, but at the same time, they're not shy of saying they're Americans. They don't feel they're guests. They don't feel they're here temporarily. They feel this is their country, this is their nation. When you put these two together, this beautiful combination will make an amazing product that we, as leaders of the community, should nourish, should encourage, not to shut the doors in their faces when they come and they want to do things differently. You know, there is something they teach you in the nonprofit organization trainings. They call founder syndrome. Founder syndrome is one of the worst diseases the nonprofit organization face. It's like a plague that eats the organization. Founder syndrome are those when the founders are so attached to the organization. They feel they're the only one who can build the organization, or the only one who can preserve and protect the organization. And they feel anybody who comes after them going to destroy the organization. This founder syndrome is not something we should allow to happen in our organizations. Yes, our charisma, our sacrifice, our dedication was needed maybe 10, 15 years ago. But now we have new talents in our organizations. We have fresh graduates who studied computer science, legal science, political science, nonprofit science. We should take their talents and we should take their expertise and use it to grow our organization in a different level.
So you feel that in Southern California, Muslims have overcome the founder syndrome?
No, I wish.
I thought you were declaring victory and taking your bags to Jordan.
No, I wish. No. But we still have a long way to go.
Well put. I mean, your ideas, excellent ideas, but do you see improvement in that direction?
I definitely see. It takes education. It takes open-mindedness. It takes trial and error. We tried different ways and it did not work. Okay, we found out we need to change. It does happen. And they have a nice saying in America. They say what happens in California, but it happens first in California, then goes to the rest of the states. So I think that's something we also notice, that a lot of the things happen in the Muslim communities in California, and then other communities try to apply. Not to take any credit from the Muslims in Chicago or New York. May Allah bless them for the amazing work that they do. but there are things that are improving and going in the right direction in California, in our community, especially in Southern California. And I applaud the pillars and the giants of our community: Dr. Muzim al-Siddiqui, Dr. Marhat Hood, Dr. Ahmed Soboh, Sister Nahla Kayali, all these amazing giants. We are stepping on their shoulders to reach new highs.
Well, this is a good conversation, but I would, before I, take a short break, I would like to say the scary image which certain book gave. I never knew there are books which exist which discourages people from going to America, but some of those things are true also. I mean, according to a survey of colleges in which people also share what their faith is. More than 40% Muslims who were surveyed, college-going Muslims, say they drink alcohol, and so some of those scary things do exist. But the percentage of Muslim who is connected with the mosque or children, they go through challenges. But some of those who are committed, they really come out and clean. I mean, they are, sometimes you feel they are less of a hypocrite than probably we are. They don't want to make compromises. They're very clear about these things. But I will tell you one thing before we take a break. There was a major Islamic organization, Islamic Society of North America, as you know, ISNA, and its convention was taking place in Chicago. So I had someone who really wanted to have a business style meeting. So he invited me to a close by Marriott, his favorite restaurant. It seems he worked for Marriott or something, was a close by Marriott. And we went there. We were the only one. It was a little bit away from the convention. And there is a blonde lady who I don't know was manager or had something at that time. I didn't know. Later she told me, was coming around very nicely, repeatedly, to the level that I noticed. And I say, is there anything we can do for you? I said, no, I just wanted to check how you're being served well. But I want you to know that I'm a Muslim. And I wanted to talk to you a little bit. My challenge is that I'm a manager here. And there are underage children coming from this convention asking me to serve them. And when I refuse to serve them liquor, now these are convention-going parents that are good and, all sort of things happen. When I tell them, they ask me, where is the close-by bar? And as a Muslim, as a manager, it's my duty to tell them something, but as a Muslim, I feel very awkward. So could you inform the convention-going people? So I think some of the scary picture have some value, which should, instead of discouraging people from coming here, it should be added to your assignment that, well, there is a whole lot of young people who are not quite connected with the masjid and Islamic center, and we need to be open enough in our hearts, in our minds, and talking to them about God Almighty accept everyone, and He's a tawwab, and you can always become and be part of it. So you brought me to another challenge, but I like your enthusiasm, and I'm sad to hear that you haven't, second generation, haven't yet conquered Southern California. And we're talking with Dr. Ahmed Soboh from Southern California, and you're watching Muslim Network TV. We'll be right back after these messages. Welcome back to Muslim Network TV. This is Imam Malik Mujahid, and I'm talking with Dr. Ahmed Soboh, who until recently served as the elected chair of the Islamic Council in Southern California. You were having a last thoughts about the topic which we were discussing about the second generation and immigrant generation. I mean, you being the Southern California, which is, I think, the more immigrants probably are in California than any other state, I think. So have a final say on this before I bring in another topic.
Well, the more you talk to me, the more you see how pragmatic and positive I am. When you said 40% of the youth in college students, Muslim college students, have tried or drank alcohol, wow, alhamdulillah, that means 60% did not. That's how I look at it. Because I graduated from a high school in Jordan called Islamic Scientific College. It's called Islamic Scientific College. 50% of my fellow students who graduated with me from the Islamic Scientific College in Jordan, they drink alcohol.
Really?
Absolutely. And I know that for sure because we're on WhatsApp groups and all these things. So when we take out ourselves from the word and we do not understand that we are part of a ummah, the ills that we have here are similar to the ills that people have everywhere else. There are the bad and there is the good. There are the bad examples and there are the good examples. But the problem with the masajid and the organization, and that's something I want us all to work on. They say less than 10% of the Muslims go to the masjid on regular basis. I don't know if you heard that, Paul, or you heard that somewhere.
I think even less than that. In my
yes.
Less than that.
Yes. The problem with all the imams and all the masajid and all the work that we do, the da'wah work that we do, we are competing over these 7 or 8%. We are not paying attention to the 90+% who are out there. And we are focusing, we want those 8% to donate, we want all these 8% to come to the masjid, we want them all to be the best Muslims ever. And we forgot that there is a huge potential to attract the 92 or 93% that are out there. And that's why media and this TV outlet that you are doing here is extremely important, not just to have it as to exist, but also to use it to target the 92, 93% who are not there. One more thing to know. When I first took my position as the chairman of the Shura Council, one of the first meetings I had was with the chairman of the Jewish Federation of Los Angeles. The Jewish Federation of Los Angeles is one of the most powerful organizations. I didn't go there to kiss hands or get alliance. I went there to understand how they work. And I found out that they have much bigger problem than us with the younger generation. Their younger generations are not attending the synagogue. The younger generations are not affiliating themselves with the organized, structured religion that they have. So what did they do? They start hiring people who will go to yoga clubs and yoga classes, who will go to the beach, who will go to the bars, who will go to the cafes and the coffee shops to attract those younger people back to the community, to bring them back to the flock. This is what we need to learn and do. We need to start, you know what, I'm not worried. When someone comes to me and tells me, Dr. Soboh, you're given a khutbah and your beard is not complete. I say, you don't like me, go to another masjid because I know you're not going to leave Islam because of me. But there are other people who I'm paying more attention to them. The sisters who are not wearing the hijab, the brothers who are not praying 5 times a day, these people who love Islam and they love to come to the masjid, but every time they come, we are kicking them out. We're making them run away. If a brother comes to the masjid tomorrow and he walks with his shoes on the carpet, what do you expect is going to happen? What do you think people are going to tell him? Someone walks into the masjid and walks in with his shoes all the way on the carpet in the masjid. I challenge you that this is what will happen. I bet you they will yell at him and tell him, get out, take your shoes out. Why are you walking with your shoes to the masjid? If you ask yourself, a person walking to the masjid with his shoes on, what does that mean? That means he's never been to a masjid before, or it's been a long time since they've been to a masjid. And if they're Muslims who are coming to the masjid to learn and try to connect with their roots and trying to get some spirituality, they're crying from inside, their hearts are bleeding, they want some spirituality. And the problem is that we kick them out. We are doing as a doctor who opens his hospital and he says, no sick people allowed. That is the mistake.
You could be a good preacher. Why you became a dentist?
Because I don't like to make money out of preaching.
Well, isn't that an issue? I mean, I recently discovered that even for khutbah, people who have jobs and all that, even for khutbah, people are charging money. It was such a alien thing in my eyes. In one place, I have to really threaten them that if you try to push that envelope again towards me, I will not give my lecture. I will leave. It seems that, so I appreciate that. This. Now, challenges are common, but you were mentioning that there are so many Muslim who are not connected with mosques, and of course all our neighbors. I mean, and neighbors of other faith or no faith. So connection with humanity is essentially critical, and to reach out to those people, media is important. Was that in your mind when you started the Shura TV for Southern California? Because to my knowledge, I don't know any other regional councils Muslims have started a television program for themselves. So what was the concept, and what is the Shura TV? Could you tell us a little bit about it?
Well, as I mentioned earlier, media outlets and TV stations and any visual aid or visual tools to reach out to people is extremely important. It's one of the pillars of establishing a strong umbrella organization. So when you think about having a TV station or live streaming or broadcasting, you will achieve so many goals with this tool. Number one, you will reach out to those people who are not regularly attending the organizations or the masajid. If you make the material relevant to them, relevant to their children, relevant to their housewives, relevant to everybody, you will find that you will reach much more people than whom you would reach during the in-person services in the masjid. And the proof on that, what happened during the COVID shutdown. During the COVID shutdown, thousands of people were receiving our messages from my masjid on regular basis, much more than the people who would attend in person during Jum'ah prayer or Ramadan. Thousands of people are watching the views, liking them. So that's the first benefit. Number two is definitely we need our message to reach out to our neighbors. When I have, alhamdulillah, been working a lot with the interfaith community, and I always invite groups to come to my mosque, and I invite them to learn about us and meet us and have food with us, and we built so many beautiful relationships and friendships with our neighboring churches around the masjid, to the point that they were disappointed that this Ramadan there is no iftar. They were disappointed. They always look forward for it. So one of the first things that they get surprised when they come first time to the masjid is like, what? That's it? It looks very peaceful. Where is the training camp? Where is the scary things that we hear about?
So you tell them that, we will show you in the second.
So this is our way to reach out to show that, look, this is whom we are, with our ills and goods, with our boring and exciting aspects of our lives. People need to know and become a little bit less intimidated to meet a Muslim or know a Muslim or even go to a mosque. Also, as community, as Muslims, we have to get out of the lifestyle of a parasite. We cannot be parasites on the society. We cannot be here accepting Medicare, food stamps, and taking everything from the society and not giving back. We have a beautiful community. We have very successful people in the community: doctors, engineers, professors, businessmen, entrepreneurs, people like you who built organizations like this. It's our time to be part of saving or serving the community outside. You know what? When there is an act of injustice happening in Los Angeles, it's my problem, even though it's not going against my community. When there is a financial crisis, it's my problem, even though I'm not affected by it. When there is a homeless problem, I don't know if you know, but there was a major homelessness problems in Southern California. And we
Southern
have,
California as well as in Northern California, both.
yeah. Yes. So we have to, and we have amazing solutions. We have amazing things that we can give. You know, one day I was watching PBS, and there was a report about a device that the deaf and the mute will be able to use it to have better communication. And they spoke about the device for 40 minutes. After that, they said, now we're going to meet the inventor of the device. And I was shocked in a very pleasant way to see that the owner or the maker or the creator and the inventor of the device is a Muslim girl with her hijab, speaking eloquently on PBS, on national TV, and explaining her device. This is exactly what we have to do. So one of the things is we use those outlets to show that we have a lot of goodness that we can serve and help the community. The city of Chino.
There's a person in right there in Southern California, and he is from Jordan. He has invented a device in which you can make water from the air, even if air has only 10% of humidity, and it does not consume any other energy except the solar energy. So, and he's a Muslim also. So you know, this conversation is extraordinarily important. I mean, you know, the Muslims are serving, but our story is not told. And you accidentally watched that, and I accidentally read that scientific paper in which is describing, because, you know, water is going to be a major resource problem. People are already fighting across the country, and a conflict on Kashmir is essentially also about water, because if Kashmir is independent of India, that's where India's water comes from. You know, it flows through that. So water resources are important, and he has an invention which nobody else has. And so Muslims are contributing, but we are unable to tell. And this probably was your motive to start the Shura TV.
Absolutely.
So what are the future plans of Shura TV? I hope since you are no longer a chair, they are not going to close it down.
No, alhamdulillah. See, one of the important things that every chairman or a leader should think about when they step down, things should be better. Things should be improving and keep going further to the. And I tried my best, and I'm sure I'm not perfect, but I tried my best to show all support I can give to the Shura TV, to the Shura Council, even after I stepped down. And I want it to look better after my time. I want things to look better even if I'm not there. That's a sign of success, in my opinion, that every leader should look for.
That definitely is. Your Shura Council also has one thing I noticed, and which was quite unique as compared to other councils of this nature, that it has Muslim Charities Association, Association of Islamic Schools, and Board of Imams. These were entities for creation of the Shura Council. Yes. Or tell us a little more about that.
So if you look at any profession and any careers, they always have associations. There is doctors association, there's engineers association, there is unions, there are teachers unions. So these unions and association, they are a necessity in all kinds of works. The Muslim Charity Association was established many years ago, and I remember when I was still a board member at the Shura Council in the first term that I served maybe 10 years ago, we started that. And we have a lot of organizations that do charity, and without coordinating between them, there is some problems will come up. You have people who take advantage of people's generosity. They try to deceive and trick charity organizations by going around from one to another, acting that they are in need, but they're not. When they talk with each other, that's a problem could be solved. When you coordinate the fundraisings that you want to do, so it does not affect everyone in a bad way and does not create a donor's fatigue. The Board of Imams and the Schools Association was established in my second term, which is in the past several years. And the Imams are one of the most important figures and pillars in our community. If the Imam is not served in a good way, if the imam is not happy in his position, believe me, they will create a lot of toxicity that goes through his khutbahs and talks to the community. If the imam is always worried about his financial situation, or he's always in a fight or an argument with the board members, then when he gives khutbahs, that will go through his khutbahs, that will go through his talks, and it will create negative impact on the community. So we need the imams to be together. We need the imams to improve their skills, to understand their rights and their obligations in the community. So that's one of the reasons. And the schools, we have 19 Islamic schools, full-time schools in Southern California, 19 full-time Islamic schools, which are very successful, in my opinion. So we wanted them to start communicating. We want the teachers to feel appreciated. Last year, we had a very nice retreat for the teachers. We had like over 100 teachers who got together from throughout Southern California. We rented Queen Mary, which is a ship, and we had dinner for them and a whole day of seminars and sessions. So these existed. The Shura formed them and put them as a project for the Shura Council.
Well, thank you so much, Dr. Ahmed Soboh, for your time. Thank you so much for being with us. Our time, unfortunately, up. While I'm getting excited to hear more and talk to you more, if you stay after the show is done, let's talk a few more minutes about the next steps. This is Imam Malik Mujahid, and you are watching a conversation with Dr. Ahmed Soboh, who is one of the leaders of Muslim community in Southern California. And these type of conversation are always here at Muslim Network TV, which you're watching on Galaxy 19 satellite, Amazon Fire TV, Roku, and other social media. And pretty soon you'll be watching it on Apple TV as well. This is Malik Mujahid, and thank you, Sumaya Heather, for producing today's show, and Aliza Majid for being our intern producer. Peace. Salam.